Hi, my name is Patrick, and today I'm chilling with Ben. Ben is a student at the African Leadership University. We are discussing a book, The Uncharted Territory by Stanford 2025 project that's reimagining the future of higher education. Then you realize that there are several universities that are actually making a difference according to the Uncharted Territory by the Stanford 2025 project.
Like Bates College, Georgetown University, University of Utah, Minerva University.
And surprisingly, you find the African Leadership University as the only one featuring this.
Yes.
And they put forth something very captivating. They say we can try to replace the traditional system with 3 levels of calibration, elevation, and activation. And in this calibration system, it's like you get into school, to university, and then you try to learn from some sort of a broad set of things, like you're learning. So you're trying to understand different learning models, different experiences. You're exploring the different challenges that we have in society. I mean, you remember what we did in school,
Yes, working on real world projects, which actually exist. That gives you hands-on experience. Plus the internship.
Exactly.
Interning also adds on the hands-on experience, and going through that whole process kind of shapes you in a different way. You also get experience from your facilitators, from your mentors, and they also speak a lot about peer learning. And peer learning at LU, I would say it even takes a bigger percentage than what you learn in class.
Yes.
Most of the time you spend it with your peers, and then a lot of the time you spend it on the experience part, working on the projects.
So you learn the projects, the communication for impact, entrepreneurial leadership, and data and decisions. And then if you're trying to looking at these 4 courses that we have, then comparing them with what the world really needs, I feel like they're so conclusive enough or inclusive, that I've had friends say that I would just go through leadership core. When I master it, then I'm fit for the world,
Yes.
No, I really liked project. It was my favorite. I can't lie to you. It was my favorite. Like today, maybe this month, you do a real world project. Let's say an organization has a challenge. They say, how do you solve it? Compared to what we will be maybe having in other universities, traditional universities, if I'm to say, hope it's not bad, but like they could come and say, this is project management. You have to write a proposal this way. Then what we have in school is the problem is here. Solve it. You're done with that one, they give you another one. Solve it.
When you're working on a project, even outside school, you approach it with all these dimensions. When you're working maybe on a project, you use communicating for impact to communicate the cause. You use projects to define the problem you're trying to solve. You use data and decisions to do some little bit of accounting. When accounting and entrepreneurial leadership to interact with the people you will be working with. So
that's right.
They all kind of come together.
They're intertwined in a way.
Exactly.
And one biggest takeaway I could say is the sense of emotional intelligence from the entrepreneurial leadership. The thing really caught me. I like these days the world needs people that can communicate, people that really feel with people, not just people that don't care and don't mind. Like they're trying to groom us into the world is best, I could say. And after you've explored all that and the different challenges, they push you to the second level. That's like year 2, and that's elevation. And then the elevation is like if you decide to pick a mission and not a major, okay? You can take a mission in global challenges with maybe focus on governance or climate change or anything that you feel you're passionate about, okay? You do a lot of research on it. You go out and do real life projects.
Exactly. So it doesn't feel like something that is just being handed to you. It feels something. It feels like something you own. It kind of creates that sense of ownership around what you're doing, because you are trying to address a real world challenge outside your major. Once you graduate, you are trying to gather these skills to go and solve a problem in the real world. So it develops a unique sense of ownership, but it also, develops that sense of fulfillment.
Yeah, and you're doing something you love. And you see, it's like we are studying with while getting experience.
Yes.
It's because you're working on a real life project. So when you get into the real world, you will not say, I did not intern here. Of course, we have internships every after year,
Yeah.
But still, as you're studying, you are working with a real life, an existing organization, or you are solving a problem, and that in itself gives you experience.
And being taught by people who have practiced what they teach.
Yes.
What I like to call real teachers. And facilitators at ALU are the kind of people who have done what they are teaching. If you are dealing with governance, you will have a facilitator who's done governance, who is interacted with governance to some capacity.
Yeah.
So when they share that experience with you, you approach it in a unique way. Exactly.
And the thing I love is they don't teach you. They only spark that bit of curiosity. They trigger your sense of curiosity. They're like, you want to study more on climate change? Okay. They give you, let's say, a guide, something basic like a question, and then they go research about it.
Exactly. And that's why only 10% of the learning happens in the classroom.
Yeah.
20% happens with your peers and the mentors around, and then 70% is from experience, hands-on experience.
Hands-on experience.
And I like the bit of their learning, of the learning model, because the one that focuses more on how to learn more than just content, because content is everywhere.
Definitely.
Knowledge is literally a click away. But when you focus a lot on teaching people how to learn on their own, that's where the real learning happens. That's what students actually need, not people to come and teach them everything. That's why faculty knowledge is considered as not as the ceiling, but rather the floor to students' knowledge at LU.
Yeah, and something that is so interesting is, you recall in high school we used to study history. Then somebody asks you a question. Why do you think? What was the cause of the First World War? I'm like, hold up. So I need to list A, B, C.
Yes.
Of course, when you come into the real world, no one's going to ask you that. They will give you a problem. They'll be like, how can you solve it?
Yes.
And if you can't solve it, then I don't think you're fit for the world. Then you move to the third level, and that's activation. So after you've done a lot of research, interacted with different people, now they say get into the real world. You still build on what you chose as a mission, but now you're doing it, you're prototyping. I mean, you're trying it out. Like if it's a project you want to run, you're doing it. You have internships with like some of the most outstanding companies in the world.
Yes.
Learning from them and
more on that, you also graduate with people that you share the same vision and passion with. I have a friend of mine who used to tell me that he travels to more than 30 African countries every day because of the diversity at LE.
That's true. Yeah.
You being around that diversity and all those people, you graduating with that kind of network, it gives you more than just a degree. You're graduating with powerful people, or even with talents that can embark on this whole journey with. So you're not alone in the process. You are surrounded by people who support you in your mission as you accomplish it.
But then you realize that at university, if they keep feeding you with knowledge, because I feel that's what we do in high school, and when they keep, there will not be any difference.
Exactly.
Yeah, and if they keep feeding with knowledge, then the question is, when will you create knowledge? Creation of knowledge should happen, I feel, at the university. I should be able to research on a problem. Having understood a problem, I should write papers on it. I should solve the problem, and that's like creation.
Exactly, yeah. There has to be something unique about somebody who went to college and somebody who didn't go to college. If college is just giving you knowledge which I can find on the internet, then what was the point of you going there?
So you see that need for continuous learning is really, really very essential, And it's something that ALE tries to equip us, to acquaint us with. My biggest take, I think, by the time I leave ALU, it's not that, we are learning, yes, but it's like I'm realizing that I do not know so many things. And I feel that's one of the biggest achievements, because it keeps us humble, keeps us curious and wanting to know more. It's like we are trying to embrace ignorance, and then we're like, how can we fight it? So if I don't know, and I don't know what I don't know, that's one stage, okay? But if I don't know and I know that I don't know, then that's another stage that we add. And I feel like by the time I leave LU, I'll have explored so many things, and then maybe learned and satisfied my, my mental curiosities, and perhaps I anticipate that I will have realized that I don't know anything by the time I leave the school.
Yeah. And speaking of continuous learning, I may leave it physically, but intellectually, I will still be in the loop. I will still be connected to the network of people that I've been studying with, and I will still be connected to learning. And beyond LU, there is LUX. So learning doesn't just end at LU. The LU has established, the leadership group has established, continuous learning. So I feel like I always be in the loop, and I always be learning, and just like I'm learning from you now, that's learning.
And that we realize that we do not know, and now we are getting more curious and we want to know more. It's so interesting, having this kind of conversation on how best we can reimagine, higher education. The world is changing, and we need to change accordingly, because these young people going to school, going into universities, are the ones that will change the world. And if they're attaining the previous century skills, not the ones that match with the current needs, then what happens? We may continuously have people that are not equipped enough and unable to thrive in the turbulent economy, in the diversely changing world. So let's try our best as the learning institutions, but too as young people. Let's take it upon ourselves that we ask the hard questions, that we go an extra mile, explore, and be better souls. This has been the talk with Ben, and don't miss the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.